Yo, what is going on, everyone, and welcome to my review, spoiler-free as well as spoiler-full review. Spoiler-full, does anyone actually ever say that? I don't know, but you know what I mean, non-spoiler and spoiler reviews for The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 20, which is titled Splinter. So, as we always do, we'll start off this video talking a little bit about the non-spoiler section, just going into my general thoughts of the episode. Did I like it? Did I not like it? That sort of a thing, not going into any specifics, and then we'll start talking about specifics later on. You want to see my reaction to the episode? That will be available right after the episode officially releases on AMC, which should be within the next couple days. So, what do I think about this episode? Honestly, I did not like it that much. Now, I did not hate it. I don't think these episodes are just weird for me, because if any of these episodes were released throughout the normal season, like the normal 16-episode season, I would probably have a much bigger problem with them, like all 4 of them. Actually, maybe not 17 so much, but the other ones, they don't feel like they are necessary. They feel like you could have taken these out of the story and it wouldn't have affected that much. Like, they feel basically like filler in a sense. I think filler is definitely an overused word, though, because there definitely isn't the entirety of the episode that it would be considered filler. It's just some parts. It definitely doesn't need to be the entirety of it with how it is. I do like how they are giving some screen time to some characters that we don't see that much, like Aaron and Gabriel. That's why I enjoyed last episode. We got to learn more about them, just get to, spend some time with them. Again, I wouldn't feel like that's necessary during a season itself, but when it comes to this little extended thing, I'm okay with it. But I could still not enjoy the episode, even with taking that into account. And I think this is one of those episodes. And also, my expectations were a little bit beyond what I was hoping for, I guess, because a lot of the trailers showed a lot of this Commonwealth stuff. We knew it was going to be all about the Commonwealth and about, the conversations between the Commonwealth soldiers, as well as the different characters within the train yard group, which was Ezekiel, Yamako, Eugene, and Princess. So I was really getting excited for these conversations. But the episode, honestly, again, this is the non-spoiler section, so I'm not going to get into it. It doesn't really dig into that much about the Commonwealth, other than a couple little things here and there. So for me, I felt, I don't want to say bored, because I wasn't really bored, but I know for a fact this is an episode I will probably never rewatch, because there's just nothing to it other than learning more about really just one character. Like, there's one character that has any sort of importance in this episode. I'm sure you guys can probably tell who that is based on the trailers and promos, and it does dig deep into this character pretty well. Like, I think they do a lot of good stuff with this character, and the acting behind this character is really good, and I was actually really enjoying it. But at the end of the day, it's a 40-minute episode solely on this character, when I feel like most people probably wanted to see more of what was going on with the Commonwealth and how that relates to the group here, when in reality it doesn't really do that. So to finish off the non-spoiler section, I'm going to give the episode a 6 out of 10, which is really a bad rating. I don't think I'd give any Walking Dead episode anything less than like a 4 out of 10. I don't think there's a single episode that's worse than that, but 6 out of 10 seems like a good place to put this episode. I just wasn't crazy about it, but I did like some stuff about it. We'll get into that for the spoiler sections, so let's hop into spoilers now. Princess is the character, obviously, who they focus mostly on. I don't think that's even a spoiler if I even mentioned that before, but I just didn't want to say it just in case people didn't want to hear what characters are mainly focused on. This episode basically can be summed up as Princess just going crazy for 40 minutes. She's not like crazy or anything, but she does definitely have some issues, mainly based on traumatic experiences she had in the past, which I thought was really interesting to dig deep into her character's past, and I'm glad they did that. I do think Princess's character is interesting. I think the actress behind it is fantastic, and she's doing a great job with it. And again, I think the writing behind it is interesting. We've seen a million characters like this, so this isn't like anything unique or anything, but it definitely makes her character more interesting when you know there's something behind why she's a little, got some mental issues going on. It's not like it's just, just there to write. It's just there randomly. No, there's obviously experiences that are there to kind of further push those experiences. You know what I mean? And it kind of makes the stuff happening with her a little bit more meaningful, a little bit more emotional, because you're not thinking like, oh, she's crazy. You're just thinking like, damn, that's actually really sad that she's like this. The most notable time was obviously when she literally had this entire imagination behind this entire event of Ezekiel being there and beating the hell out of this Commonwealth soldier, when in reality that was her doing it. which kind of reminds me of like the Joker. If you guys remember seeing the movie The Joker from 2019, similar stuff like that was happening in the film where he was imagining people with him. I'm not too sure exactly, the psychoanalysis behind that, but I do find it to be very interesting. I was really enjoying Ezekiel going crazy though. Like, I kind of enjoyed this cold-hearted take on Ezekiel, so I'm kind of slightly disappointed that we didn't actually have Ezekiel doing that. It was actually just Princess, but it was still interesting, and I enjoyed it. But that was the whole episode. It was literally a whole episode just going into the psychoanalysis of Princess, which I feel like for certain characters I'm interested in seeing that. Like a whole episode going in the mind of like Morgan, for example. I would be so down for that. But Princess is a very new character who I don't really, which actually we've had episodes like that with Morgan, but they don't do the whole episode. You know what I mean? Like 40 minutes is a long damn time, and that's basically all this episode had to it. You know what I mean? You had a couple of conversations with Commonwealth soldiers, and yes, we get to learn a little bit about the Commonwealth, but maybe like 3 or 4 minutes of the episode was doing that. Maybe. I feel like they could have done a better job, maybe splitting up the episode. Princess speaking to some Commonwealth soldiers, maybe having a scene with Yamako speaking to them, a scene with Eugene, a scene with Ezekiel. Then I feel like the episode would have been better fleshed out, and we would have had more screen time for different characters, and we would have seen their perspectives on, maybe like an interview, like they did in Alexandria back in season 5, where there was an interview with each character. I feel like that would have been more interesting. I don't know, this episode just felt weird to me in how it was just so solely focused on just Princess, really. I do find it interesting that they're making the Commonwealth seem like worse people than what they were in the comics, because from my memory, now again, I've read the comics, like the Commonwealth section of the comics once when it first came out, and I haven't really read it since, so I'm not 100% on exactly what happens, but I do remember Commonwealth not being that rough. They were kind of scary at first, but then they were just talking to this guy named Lance, and they had a nice conversation, and they were still a little paranoid about it, but then they go visit the Commonwealth, and they're all good. But this episode makes Commonwealth seem like much worse. Like the soldiers seem like much worse people. Like they're hitting people, they're being aggressive, they're throwing people around. Like they made Commonwealth really rough in this episode, which I understand why, because they're trying to make the audience who maybe haven't read the comics or just aren't aware of the comics and how, Commonwealth plays out there. They're trying to trick them into essentially thinking these people are going to be like bad guys, and they kind of want us to be like, oh, well, what's going to happen? And I understand that, so I'm completely fine with them making Commonwealth seem a little bit rough, but it almost seems like too much. Like, I'm going to have trouble being like accepting of these people, because some of them are legitimately being like over the top assholes. Like they're just hitting people and such, and it's just like, why? I don't know. But there's certain reasons as to why, because obviously they're being a little bit uncooperative. You can tell they're clearly causing more issues just because both groups are essentially paranoid of each other. They don't trust each other. No one trusts each other. It's the apocalypse. So I get that. So I think it's okay the way they play it out. I just think it's a little weird how it's trying to be so incredibly different than the comics, because like I said, the comics, it was a lot different. But there was only a few scenes like that anyways, because like I said, most of the episode is Princess talking to herself in a train cart. Yeah, that's pretty much 70+% of the episode. Again, I'm not, bashing on the entire existence of it. Again, I think they did a fantastic job with what they were trying to do. I just don't think I really enjoy what they were trying to do. That's kind of the point I'm getting at, why I gave it a 6 out of 10 in the first place. The character at the end of the episode, who was, one of the main Commonwealth soldiers that they focused on, was interesting. And then they kind of did this twist where he just brought him out and then put bags over their heads. I'm not too sure what they're doing with them there, where they're bringing them. Maybe they're just tossing them out into somewhere because they don't trust them and they just don't want to deal with them anymore because they were being uncooperative, so they're not going to their community. Like the guy was saying, you basically missed your chance. You fucked it up because you were being so goddamn uncooperative, which they were. I don't really know what's going to play out from there. I don't think we're going to see them again until season 11 anyways. So, yeah, that's interesting. But I really think this is an episode you could probably skip. Unless you want to learn more about Princess, it's one of those episodes I just don't know if it's necessary. But then again, that's pretty much this entire, half season, these 6 episodes. That's all they really are. which is fine because, yes, some people do want more backstory on these characters. Like Negan, we're going to get a lot more backstory on him. I'm excited for that because Negan's actually a character I thoroughly enjoy. Princess, I like as a character, but I don't think is one of the most interesting characters, therefore I didn't really find that much entertainment in the episode. Basically, that's my point there. Except for, again, a couple scenes here and there were fine, and I had some enjoyment in those couple scenes, and I was like, yeah, this is good stuff, and I could objectively sit back and be like, yes, this was a good episode, it was well put together, well directed, the writing was good, the dialogue was good, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be entertained by it. That's pretty much what this episode was. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.